It's Matt, along with Goo, and today we're going to go back to nature family and talk about Gracos, who has a very interesting mechanic that has some really good power, but also some really serious flaws. So stay tuned to see if going back to the nature family is right for you. All right, Gracos is a very interesting nature magic unit, a very unique position for the family. Its leadership effect is incredibly niche because of that, with being able to increase nature spell power by 20%. There really isn't that many units at all that could really use this leadership effect, so it's a pretty poor leadership overall. As a unit, though, it definitely has some really powerful abilities, and also its first awakening can actually make it incredibly powerful, but it is a little slow in order to get that power. Its first skill is called Ice Rock. It is our normal uh, kind of surround, except it's a spell damage. You would think, as a mage, why do you want to have a AoE around itself? It is actually an incredibly tanky mage as well, and I'll kind of go through that. So it can survive. So it is a little unique in that regards. This is by far its least MP consumption, and unfortunately, that's really important because of the fact that overall, what will happen is you're going to run out of MP with this unit really, really quick, and it kind of sucks out a lot of the usefulness in the later parts, unless if you use Ice Rock a lot. So this is a skill that you're going to use a lot. This next skill, Waterfall, is a very powerful damage that causes heavy crackle spell damage to all enemies, and it occasionally will lower the crackle resistance as well, giving it even more power. With 127, you could get it down to around in the 90s, but the main issue here is with the MP that Gracos really has, you're not going to be able to cast this very much, and this really, really hurts. The last skill here is Nightmare Breath. Causes great breath damage to all enemies and has a high probability of falling asleep. This is kind of what you're really going to use a unit for, is putting units to sleep. Uh, that's really the big thing here. But the big problem is it really, really, really gets power with that at its fifth awakening, and I don't see many people going to the fifth awakening unless if it's part of something that you'll get much later on down the line. So the first skill here, 10, and this is the really interesting part of the unit. Increase skill and movement for 3 turns on each even turn through the 10th. So on turn 2, it goes from 2 to 3. Then turn 4 goes to 4. And then turn 5, it can actually move 5 spaces. This is called riding the wave. It can actually really move very, very well until roughly turn 12. Then it starts going back to normal. This is a very interesting mechanic. The only thing that sucks about it is for an arena unit, it's kind of worthless because it really takes at least a second turn to even get moving. And as a mage, it's kind of worthless. And in PvE, it just doesn't have the MP needed to make it through. Yes, it will actually on power also gives HP and MP regen, but that MP regen is really small because its MP pool is just not large enough. If we get an awakening for Gracos that really expands its MP pool, this unit might actually become really, really good in PvE. But until we see an awakening, which we haven't seen in Japan, and get some, and it needs to be MP focused, this is a really big issue with the unit. But I do really love this ability to move very far, especially in PvE, where they might get really long um, battles, and you've seen these long battles as well, but that we might have to face. So It's an interesting mechanic, but it is severely hampered by its issues, which we'll talk about in its stats in a little bit. Second and fourth is Frizz and Sizz. The third one is increases spell power and effect at the beginning until the second turn at 1.5, and gives Crackle power plus 5%. Pretty useful overall. And the fifth one is Crackle 5% and sleep success rate at plus 10%. And that plus 10% really makes Nightmare Breath very effective on units that have that are weak against sleep. That's its niche, but the problem is it's really expensive to get that 5, and it's unfortunately not worth it. If instead of that increased skill and movement for 3 turns was up, maybe in the second, and the sleep success rate was first, I think this unit would have been a little easier to maybe say, hey, it might be worth trying to get one. For some people, obviously they're going to like it. This unit can hit like a truck. Its wisdom here is 431. Remember, if you get that first awakening, it will build up on a strength as well for that. So it hits very hard. But this is level 120 stats, fully awakened, has MP of 422. And if you take a look here with the spell here of 100, you've got 4 waterfalls, and that's at level 5. Or sorry, 5 heart, fully awakened, 120. Everything through there in order to get those numbers. It is just absolutely hampered by its lack of MP. The regen is not going to give you that much. It'll give you around 20 to 25. Just needs a lot more MP for it to be of service. So that is really frustrating. But if you look at his HP and defense for a mage, they are incredibly high combination. The defense is average to slightly below average for units. For mages, it's on the high end. And its HP is actually on the high end of just normal units anyways. Even physical attackers don't see this HP very much. So this is a very high HP unit. And with its ability to regen its HP, it stays for a very long time. So from that standpoint, it is beefy. It can stand up being attacked. And it has good speed as well. So that MP really, really sucker punches it. Normally I say the movement is an issue. The only reason the movement is an issue is it is slow moving in the first 3 turns. Second turn it can move 3, but the fourth turn you're starting to move forward, could really fly. Really what you want is something that moves really fast for turn 1 and 2 for arena. This isn't it. So the problem is it's a great idea. It's just it doesn't fit very well currently in PvE because of its MP issues. And it doesn't fit well in arena because of its movement issues. So it's a bit frustrating. It's a great idea. I kind of like some of these units that they try some crazy ideas on. This one just doesn't work because of limitations. Its preferred weapon is the Magic Wand. It's a 100 mini metal weapon. It doesn't have its own event, so this is by far its best one. There is a better weapon that will be coming out in a couple of months for Gracos, but I'm putting the Magic Wand in it right now. There is going to be a Crackle Wand that we will be able to do, but it's better used for some other units as well. So at this point, I would just say stick with the Magic Wand if you want to use it. Or anything really that just gives spell power plus X. So Mortimor's weapon is another good one too. If you don't have Mortimor and you pick up Gracos, that's something else that you can use as well. The preferred learned skills. Blunt is something, and I know I've been using Blunt a lot lately for the mages, but especially for Gracos, it does want to get up close and personal. And using Blunt just makes it actually can act tank-like at that point with most monsters. Probably Swoosh and Bang are better. They're good AoEs. They allow you to cast more with the magic, allow him to last longer, etc. I would probably focus on that. But if you need to have like a all nature team or maybe like a magical team and you need to bring along Gracos, Blunt will allow him to act as a tank as well on top of it. So those are kind of the three unique. These are not in any specific order. I would probably actually put Bang on Gracos as it has a lot of power. It builds up power. And I do like that plus a little bit more than the swoosh 3 range. That's kind of the choice here. This is one of the few S units, though, that I feel really needs a skill effect in order for it to operate very well because swoosh, it should be able to MP regen, at least if not every turn, every other turn to full. And, you might have to skip a turn with Gracos if you use swoosh. Bang, you might have to do it'll be able to run every 3 out of every 5 turns. Swoosh will be able to run like 8 out of every 9 turns or so. So with that, take it as you leave it there. But Gracos, just with that MP, low MP totals, really struggles with its skills. The pros, cons, and pull, the HP and defense are absolutely fantastic for Gracos. Especially for a magic user. Even if it's a physical user, it would be good. For a magic user, this is insanely excellent. As I say, it can recover HP and MP at the beginning of each and every turn, and move up to 5 spaces at later turns and has huge potential range. But the big issue is that MP concern. Has great range at turn 6 and beyond, but being able to keep casting its powerful spells, it can't last until turn 6. And there's not going to be that often where you need on turn 6 to have a lot of movement. If it was turn 3 and it only lasts 3 turns to have like 4 movement, then this would be a very interesting unit to kind of go all in for Arena. But it's kind of the backwards way of thinking about it for Arena. So there. And the leadership is just good for Gracos only. Yeah, it's nature spell power, but honestly, how many nature units you're going to be using for spell power? Well, no, not really. Compared to what we have for the other events, they're just so much better. And the units that are going to be coming up, Uber Killing Machine, our Slime Tank, DQ, the next Dragon Quest series that's coming up, Jessica, and all of that, which will be probably in late February. They're just absolutely fantastic. Gracos is an interesting unit, but just doesn't work yet. I think if they do a very good talent bloom, that Gracos could actually turn into a really powerful unit. But I have a sneaking suspicion that they're not going to do what's truly needed for him either there. So, no, I don't really like him. I'm sorry. Great idea, though. Just not the best execution. The summonable unit's Maulrus. Love the name. It has a leadership effect of increase the power of nature physical power by 10%. I think it's actually more useful than Gracos's, and even that is not super useful. You want to add a physical skill. I'm going to talk about his Awakening because this is an interesting unit for 2 reasons. The first Awakening can increase physical power by 1.15 times for 1 turn. It's random. It can hit fairly hard with its Ice Stamp and Sword Crash, but I think Sword Crash is actually the most useful skill out of it because it can occasionally seal physical skills, and the 3rd and 5th Awakening will increase that chance by 5%. It's a unit that, if it was on a better banner and you got a couple of them and went to 3rd and 5th, it would have some pretty interesting PvE uses with the physical seal. Now, a lot of enemies are immune to that, so it's not the greatest. It can also move up 2 squares with the tackle. It's a movement of 2. It has good attack for its size, or for being a good HP and defense as well, and the agility's enough to be useful. So if it was on a better banner, I'd say, look, this is a great unit. Personally, Malrus might be more important to me than Gracos is, and I still don't think this is a banner that you really should be pulling on. But Malrus is a pretty interesting nature unit to have, but I'm only going to be using whatever tickets are given our way, and that's all. I am hoping to get a Malrus just for that. I might actually use a ticket for him at some point down the line, but that's about as far as I'm willing to go on this banner. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Soon there's going to be some pretty awesome units that are coming down the line. And actually, it's going to be a bit crazy. Still, though, I think Nocturnus is number one there. Number two is going to be a little harder to go through, but if you've already got Nocturnus or you just try to pull and don't want to bother anymore, that'll be good. Hold on, we might actually get a pretty cool banner coming down the line too. So that's another reason for skipping on Gracos. Maybe we will get a 1 year banner similar to JP. Maybe we won't. We have to see on that. But we are supposed to get something more middle of next week. I'll be happy to report upon that when we do get some additional details. So good luck, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying everything. I need to get ready for the next events, so you'll be hearing from me a lot more again very soon. So I hope you guys enjoy. Good luck on everything, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.